is time. Time to reveal my top 10 bourbons of 2023. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So, it's time to talk about my top 10 whiskeys of 2023. This is such a fun list to get to put together. It's a great time of year to just sit back and kind of reflect on all the great bottles that I've been able to get my hands on. I do want to say, full disclaimer, my list is not exhaustive. There's a lot of whiskey that I am not able to get my hands on. I'm still relatively new to this game. Started my journey in 2021. 2022 was my first kind of full-time year doing the channel and diving in. And 2023 I feel like is my first year having my feet fully under me and hunting is a priority. So, I still don't get a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, on this list, you won't see a single BTAC bottle. There's just no chance I'm ever gonna see a Buffalo Trace Antique Collection or have access to that, at least not right now. So hopefully that makes it a little bit relatable, but trust me, there's still some phenomenal whiskey on this list. And all of this great whiskey certainly deserves to be celebrated. So let me give you a little rundown of how this is going to unfold. First, in this video, I'm going to reveal my top 10 as just a list for you to consider. But then we're gonna follow that up by doing a bracket challenge where I taste through all these whiskeys to find my number one favorite bottle of the year. So all of these will be entered in and we're gonna see what comes out on top. So keep that in mind and stay tuned as we reveal the bottles, but also as we journey through tasting them to see which one is the best of 2023. All right, that's enough prelude. Let's get into the list with bottle number one, which is a phenomenal regular release, and that is Bardstown Bourbon Company Bottled in Bond Wheat. Wow, is this stuff good for $50. It is 100 proof, 6 years old. They waited until it was 6 years old to release it, which was a great decision if you ask me. It is rich, creamy, vanilla, bready quality, great wheat presence, and then it's got this like raspberry jam to it. Oh, it's so good. And I'm gonna be super interested to see how a $50 bottle that's regularly available does against everything else from the year. And I honestly totally think it belongs on this list with all the other contenders. All right, next on this list steps us into that sort of relatively available, slightly allocated realm, but still a dynamite release, and that is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof Rye. Wow, is this stuff powerful. I mean, we all know it's high proof stuff. My bottle in particular is 128.5 proof, which is on the low end for this kind of whiskey in this release, but it's one of the most interesting ryes I've ever tasted. Just kind of layer upon layer, bursts of flavor, and really good stuff. Super long finish on it, available for around $70 to $75 in most places. So a great release coming off of their, I believe it was 2020 twice barreled rye release that was very special. People loved it. Jack Daniel's followed that up with a more available single barrel proof rye that I think is phenomenal. All right, bottle number three keeps us in this category of more allocated, slightly harder to find, but definitely accessible to more bourbon drinkers. And that is Booker's Charlie's Batch. So for me, the first batch of the year ended up being the best. I also got my hands on the Mighty Fine batch, which is really good too. I did taste test them against each other, and Charlie's Batch won out for me. It's fruitier than you would anticipate from a Booker's. It's got more layers to it. The nose is a little bit better than the Mighty Fine batch, if you ask me. So this one took the edge, and it's gonna be representing Jim Beam and Booker's in the Whiskey of the Year bracket that we do. And on this list, it is my third bottle, and it's just really good stuff. All right, move things down a little bit so you can see me over the Booker's box. But bottle number four now. This moves us into one that I actually was really happy to predict that they would release something like this year because their whiskey is getting old enough to justify it. Really excited by it, and it's really good, and that is New Riffs 8-year-old Bohemian Wheat Bourbon. This stuff is really great wheated bourbon. It is rich, it's spicy, surprisingly so, but kind of warm winter spices. It's got a lot of flavor, and it's barrel strength at 117.9 proof. And again, this is 8 years old. So the oldest stuff ever released from New Riff. I was very lucky to get my hands on it. I live pretty close to New Riff, so was able to get it at the distillery, and man, it's good stuff. Excited to see how it does. Bottle number 5 on the list moves us to a distillery that you're not going to be surprised has multiple representatives on this list for me. If you followed the channel at all, you know I love this particular line quite a bit, and that is Larceny Barrel Proof Batch B523. So for me this year, the middle of the year batch B523 was a standout. All 3 releases were pretty solid. I haven't done a review of C923 yet. I did get a bottle though. It was while I was visiting my brother out in Phoenix, so I tasted it there. Really good batch too, but B523 stands out kind of a head length above the other batches of the year. Totally deserves to be on this list. A really full force wheated bourbon, so excited to see how it stands up to the competition. For the next 2 bottles on the list, we're gonna stick with Heaven Hill and go to Larceny Barrel Proof's bigger brother, because this year, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof came forward with a vengeance, redeemed itself, and has 2 epically awesome batches. We've got first, Elijah Craig batch A123, and the absolutely legendary now C923. So I was able to get all 3 batches this year, tasted through them, and C923, spoiler alert, did take home the victory of all 3 Elijah Craig Barrel Proof batches this year. But A123, I hadn't remembered how good it is, and it gave C923 a run for its money. So we're gonna see in a blind with all these other potentials if A123 maybe stands out as the best. Who knows, but the truth is here, I mean, Heaven Hill killed it with Elijah Craig this year. The B523 is no slouch either, just didn't quite make the list. And for once, the Elijah Craig really beat out Larceny for me, which hasn't happened yet. So Elijah Craig, phenomenal this year. Okay, had to shift things even more to make room for our last 3 bottles. So next on the list is one that just honestly, I was so lucky to get. Won this in a raffle, and it might honestly be the best rye I've ever tasted. And that is Mters 10-year-old rye. 2023 release, it's phenomenal. For something that is only, let's see, it is, I think it's 92 proof. Yeah, 92 proof. Wow, it's got so much flavor, it's ridiculous. And for somebody who's kind of been on the fence about Mters in my journey so far, it's just come through and proven to me that, man, they can make some fantastic whiskey. I think this one, though it's lower proof, is still gonna be a contender for Whiskey of the Year, and it's gonna give a lot of these other ones a run for their money. Another shift, kind of underestimating the amount of room we're taking up here. Anyway, let's get to the last 2 bottles. Next on our list here is one that I just spent the most money on this year, and I'm glad that the juice backs it up, and that is Wild Turkey Master's Keep Voyage. This is the best rum finished bourbon I've ever tasted. It's really, really good stuff. I know that there were mixed reviews because the price went way up this year to $275 retail, and that is quite a pretty penny. It's only 10-year-old bourbon, so that ruffled some feathers too. But in my opinion, it's a super well done blend of rum and bourbon. It is really, really good stuff, and it deserves to be on this list. Yes, it's expensive, but it deserves to match up against everything else from 2023. All right, the last bottle on my list is one that I was probably the most excited to get this year. It's phenomenal whiskey. Just before we reveal it, I do want to say, if you're enjoying all the content coming out of the channel, would love to have you aboard as a subscriber for 2024 and beyond. This year, 2023, we are still trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Would love it if you could help me hit that goal. It's gonna be a big milestone. While you're at it, hit the like button on this video, and then also comment down below. What goes on your list? What have been the best whiskeys that you've sipped on in 2023? Want to hear what you guys are enjoying the most. All right, without further ado, the last bottle on the list, the most hyped up one, and that is, you guessed it, Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. So we knew Maker's Mark at 12 years old was probably going to be pretty good. I don't know if anybody knew it was going to be this good. It's phenomenal whiskey. An amazing, amazing product that I'm so happy they released. People have been clamoring for years for them to release something older. They did it, and it is amazing. If I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on Maker's Mark Cellar Aged and the Elijah Craig C923 to take down Whiskey of the Year for 2023 for the Bourbon Hutch. But maybe one of these others will take it down. We'll see. All of these are phenomenal whiskey. Congratulations to the distilleries that put out these amazing products. Thank you for giving us some awesome whiskey this year. I hope you'll join me as I taste through all of these and do a bracket challenge to figure out which one is the best. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to get us a little inebriated because a lot of these are barrel strength, but I guarantee it's going to be a blast to taste each of these again and just enjoy how good they are. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey. Maybe try one of these top 10 of 2023 if you can, and cheers.